you ready? Oh, and
ready.
Look at
you.
Look
Okay.
Look at the camera.
Okay.
And I think we're
Okay.
number one. The city managed to pass a budget by the skin of its teeth this year with some last-minute creative financing. Is there anything that can be done to avoid the same situation for fiscal year 2009? And how can the city increase revenue without increasing taxes? And what are some ways the city can save money without cutting services?
Will you read it one more time?
Sure.
Okay.
All right.
I thought the question was going somewhere else, and then. Okay, go ahead.
All right. The city managed to pass a budget by the skin of its teeth this year with some last-minute creative financing. Is there anything that can be done to avoid the same situation for fiscal year 2009? And how can the city increase revenue without increasing taxes? And what are some ways the city can save money without cutting services?
The budget did pass by the skin of its teeth, and the city council speaks with Richard Lee, the city manager, every time during budget session, asking what are we going to do next year. I think that's a huge issue. Luckily, the last 3 years have been successful, whether it's the waste management contract. The mayor comes up with some great solutions, but it's tough to think of what's going to happen next year. So there does need to be some things put on the table, some ways to increase revenue and not increase the taxes. Okay, I'll start over.
Okay, that's no problem.
Sorry.
No, you got the first part out good, so maybe you want to think about the second part, you know. How
What
the
can we
city
do,
save money,
yeah.
Or how can it bring in more revenue, you know. I know each of you have talked about those things before,
Right.
just in the past few weeks.
Bring in, I know. Read it one more time,
Sure.
sorry.
Okay. The city managed to pass a budget by the skin of its teeth this year with some last-minute creative financing. Is there anything that can be done to avoid the same situation for fiscal year 2009? And how can the city increase revenue without increasing taxes? And what are some ways the city can save money without cutting services?
This budget session was very tough. We came by the skin of our teeth. Luckily, we didn't have to lose anybody. We didn't have to lay off nobody lost their jobs. The mayor, over the last 3 years that I can remember, has had, we've had a tough time when budget comes in June. Luckily, with the waste management contracts or other creative ways, he does have creative ways to come up with. God. Can we go to another question?
This is an interesting one. I think everyone will like this one. There is a belief among Medford citizens that there has not been a healthy and productive relationship between the city council and the mayor. It seems particularly to be fueled over the issue of process, with the city council seemingly left out of the loop on the mayor's decisions. How would you describe the existing relationship, and do you believe there is room for improvement? And if so, what do you think each party's contribution should be?
As far as the relationship between the mayor and the city council, I think that it's getting better over the last 2 years, 3 years. It's gotten a lot better since I first took office 6 years ago. But with that being said, there's always room for improvement. I think more communication needs to be had between the council and the mayor. For example, we get the budget probably 10 days before we need to pass it or vote against it, and I don't think that's enough time to help him to vote on the issues and to understand everything that is encompassed in a $42 million budget on the school side and on the municipal side. But I think we have made progress, and I think we will continue to make progress as the years go on.
That was good. Had a little bit of time left over, but it was good.
It's fine.
And all in one take. Ready to move on to the third one? So everything sounded okay?
Yep.
Looking all right? All right.
Can you fix your shirt again?
Oh, jeez. It's heavy or something?
Okay. Medford's roads were not designed to accommodate an unlimited number of vehicles, but the volume of traffic in Medford continues to increase. Do you know of any plans to decrease congestion in ways that are efficient and environmentally responsible? And what are they, and what would you do to help them along over the next 2 years?
I think that you're right, that traffic is awful, and some environmentally friendly ways to do that and to improve it is possibly making bike paths along our city streets. I heard of the idea about a year ago, and I've taken interest in it, as a bike rider, as a walker, I think that's the way to go. It's environmentally friendly, it takes cars off the roads, emissions out of the air, and it's a great way for people to travel. You have a lot of people that use public transportation or would rather not, would rather bike ride to work, to do their errands, grocery shopping, to the farmer's market and the square, and I think bike paths is definitely a way to go. We can do one at a time, see how they work, and evaluate how each one works and add to that as the years progress, and I think it would be definitely beneficial to the city and the safety and the traffic.
All right, good. You like that one?
Fine.
Good. All came out.
My first one. I'm still thinking about my first one.
Well, we're moving right along.
Okay.
Get on to the fourth one here.
Come on, let's go. Let's get right through these.
No.
It's coming on. See, it's not so bad.
No, it's not too bad.
All right. The city secured a $250,000 grant to construct a wind turbine at the McGlynn School that's expected to generate 10% of that school's electricity, saving up to $25,000 annually and offsetting the release of 76 tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. What other green initiatives can the city undertake that will save money, and what would you personally get involved with promoting right away?
To save money, I think as far as the wind turbine goes, I am a huge supporter of it. Not only should we look into doing one, especially with the 250, the grant was amazing. I think we should look into other placements for wind turbines, maybe one to fuel City Hall, as well as the schools at the McGlynn. It's a great opportunity. It's not only a great opportunity to save money and to provide energy for the schools, but it's also great for the children in those schools to learn about the environment and how to protect it. I'm a big supporter of, all kinds of things that help the environment, such as recycling and wind turbines, and looking into better ways to, damn, he's doing so well.
That was good. Construct a wind turbine at the McGlynn School that's expected to generate 10% of that school's electricity, saving up to $25,000 annually and offsetting the release of 76 tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. What other green initiatives can the city undertake that will save money, and what would you personally get involved with promoting right away?
I think the wind turbine at the new schools is an amazing project. I support it wholeheartedly. Patricia Barry, our environmental agent at City Hall, has done a tremendous job securing that grant, along with the mayor and everybody that was involved. I think one initiative we should think about, especially if that wind turbine works out, is putting them in different places in the city. Maybe one at Medford High School, one near City Hall, if it could be convenient and not disrupt the neighborhoods, and provide energy that costs, the line item in the budget for energy is astronomical. It's what has driven up the school budget side so much. So if we could decrease the energy by using the wind turbines in other spots, I would definitely be in support of it. I think it's a good idea.
All right. You like that one?
Yeah, that's fine.
That was good.
We can also, number one.
Rolling.
Right. Medford is rich in historical resources, and it has a growing population of artists, writers, and musicians.
Yep.
How can these advantages be incorporated into the city's economic development?
I think the artists and the culture of this city and the historical, start over, sorry. Can you read it one more time?
Sure.
Yeah, I was going to stop you anyway. Is it a
Traffic.
motorcycle? Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Medford is rich in historical resources, and it has a growing population of artists, writers, and musicians. How can these advantages be incorporated into the city's economic development?
The arts and culture and the history of the city is something that we all should be proud of. I think one of the biggest things would be to have an art center in with the Medford Square revitalization plan. We've said it from the beginning. The council has mentioned it many times over the last 3 or 4 years since we came about an art project. Start over, sorry.
That's okay.
Last time. If I could hear the question one more time. Maybe if I button this other button, that would be better. There we go.
Okay. I don't have one.
You're a foreign policy.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's all right. Medford is rich in historical resources, and it has a growing population of artists, writers, and musicians. How can these advantages be incorporated into the city's economic development?
The arts and culture and the history of the city is tremendous, and I think it definitely should be implanted into the Medford Square revitalization, which is coming along, you know, slowly but surely. I think it was mentioned on the council floor a couple years ago, and since then I've took hold of the idea to have an art center within the Medford Square area. I think it's the prime location for the city. It's a place where, you know, not only can artists go and do their work, but they can also have children there from the schools to learn. Such a sorry. Oh God, this is awful. Some guy was just out the window. I got I'm like, oh. Okay, I can start. You don't have to read it. Probably gonna kill me. Okay. I don't know where to read. Jeez.
No, it's good talking about the art center and Medford Square revitalization.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'm against the arts.
No. All right. Okay. I think having the art culture, the culture and the artists, as well as the history, be something that we look at when we look at the revitalization of Medford Square. It's so important to this city. It's important everywhere, but it's very important to the city of Medford. We have a lot of great artists. We have a number of historical resources that we should take hold of and capitalize. God, will you read it one more time? I'm sorry.
Sure.
I don't know what's wrong with me. I shouldn't get up at 5 a.m.
Got early to go to work?
Yeah.
Where do you work?
I'm an attorney in Boston.
You're in work at 5?
No, I'm up at 5.
Oh.
No, I'm up at 5. Okay.
All right. Medford is rich in historical resources, and it has a growing population of artists, writers, and musicians. How can these advantages be incorporated into the city's economic development?
As far as the arts and the cultural aspect of Medford, along with Medford's history, which is, tremendous, it should be put into the Medford Square revitalization plan, which is coming along slowly but surely. We're making improvements, and I think it was brought up at the council floor a couple years ago to make an arts center inside Medford Square somewhere. If we can get the proper, affordable location to make it so artists have a place to go to do their work and to teach students. Artists, so rich in the community. It's something that all children can benefit from. And I think it's very important to the city. And on the other hand, our history is amazing too. So if we can bring out, the Brooks Estates and the Royal House and really educate the children, I think it would be a great idea.
All right, I think we got one.
I got into.
So we're going to come back to number 1.
Okay.
Do you want me to read it again? Or?
Yeah, do you mind?
No,
I don't even remember at all. I'm just going to try to wing it again.
All right, no problem. Okay. The city managed to pass a budget by the skin of its teeth this year with some last-minute creative financing. Is there anything that can be done to avoid the same situation for fiscal year 2009? And how can the city increase revenue without increasing taxes? And what are some ways the city can save money without cutting services?
I think this June we had a tough time with the budget, as we did the last 2 years prior. There's a lot of things that go on last minute, a lot of negotiating, whether it's with waste management or other contracts that the city has. The mayor has been successful to keep a pretty balanced budget. We haven't had layoffs. We haven't filled many positions where we have retirees, but no layoffs is good in my book. One thing that the city could do is start planning ahead of time. I think it comes to the last hour and everybody's scrambling. City council's asking for the budget. We don't have it yet. So there's really nothing, we can do. We can't see the budget, but we'd like to do a lot more. I think planning, starting now, let's sit down with the mayor, discuss some ideas, and throw around some options of where we can increase our revenue.
Sounds good. On time. You happy with that?